thinking about that mid-market B2B company, revenue 10 to 100 million, and the buying cycle being maybe roughly 3 to 9 months, right? And it's funny, I think a lot of companies probably don't even know how long their buying cycle is, but we know, like that's, and you actually even have some data you were sharing with me earlier, that time frame is typical for a larger sale B2B. So with that time frame in mind and that type of company in mind, let's talk about setting up revenue attribution, or kind of building the proverbial house of attribution for a company. A lot of times when I go in and meet with clients, they either have a team that's kind of disorganized, and they aren't sure why things aren't working. And so it's either that, or I come into a company that is strong, heavy on building brand now that they've been doing sales specifically, and they want to push a lot of marketing out, a lot of marketing campaigns to start driving new quality inbound leads for their salespeople to support them. And in doing that, they just are kind of clueless when it comes to attributing success up the pipeline from, they may be doing it well in the sales pipeline, but as we look up the funnel to marketing, it's kind of not there. So I thought maybe you could kind of walk us through, the building blocks of how should they be thinking, what's the mindset, and then what are some of the first things they should be doing to set the foundation?
Yeah, thank you, Lee. Good question. I think there's probably there's many paths here, but if let's start with a simpler path, which is like, what are things you can do without a lot of technology available? I think that's a good place for start, because most companies don't necessarily have budget or like skills to do more technical things. So
that's right.
Like start into like enforcing that the salespeople always ask the question. So how did you hear about us? Where did you meet us? Where did you come from? And make sure that like if they're using a calling software, they will already be logged. If they're not, then at least type it into the CRM. What did this person actually reply when you asked this at the meeting or on the sales call? Just to start getting some anecdotes about what seems to be leaving an impact. The same thing is that like this more and more popular kind of how did you hear about us form fill on where you book your calls. Also makes a lot of sense. It's super low cost to implement, and you can catch some signals of what's working. I would say then the problem is then that most people don't remember how they like got into like your world, but at least
by the time they get there.
But at least they can give you an anecdote of what they think that led you there. So I would say like these two like easy, accessible tricks on the meeting. Ask them where they submit their forms. You can ask them as well, and that starts giving you a glimpse of what's going on. When we tested this ourselves, particularly the form fill, we could see that when we compared their answer to what it said in Dream, that there was quite a big discrepancy. And also it's what you catch in the forms can sometimes be a bit too vague to act upon. So like if somebody writes Google, then it's okay. Was it an ad? Was it an organic? Which ad was it, or which blog post, or what did you search for? All these questions are not answered. So the great self-reported answer can be a bit of a unicorn sometimes to come across. But nevertheless, this is completely free to use, and you can start that out today.
Then right. I like that. It's kind of like an old school approach, and I think that aligns with what I tell my clients to do when they're building their marketing strategy, when they're building out picture of their ideal buyer, in that you first look at your customer base and say, who are we currently dealing with that we want more of?
Yeah.
Because you don't have all perfect customers. So which ones make the right sense? We have a good product market fit. And, we could sign these up and do really well for them, and we would create, sort of a snowball effect. And so then that gives you information about who to talk to, and then going out and getting that feedback. And I love that's where you started, because I feel like the secret sauce to marketing is customer feedback or buyer feedback out in the wild before they become customers. The more you can know about what they're thinking and what they need, the more you can meet them where they are and pull them towards a solution in an effective, value-driven way. So I think that's a great start, for to building a foundation. Is hey, it's kind of funny, like so simple. Just go ask.
Yeah, you actually highlighted one more thing you can do. You can just take your current customer base and write this question to them one by one and see like kind of
Mm-hmm.
what is the aggregate data. So on your
Yeah,
website, in meetings, and then you could also just send an email to everybody. Like, where did you hear about us? That will
yeah.
that will get you off the off to a good start, I
That,
would say.